Hey everyone, Suzi here, and today we're playing Watcher of Realms. For today's video, we're continuing our Chronicles of Tya here in the Grand Archive. I'm going to be finishing off this part 4 of the Schemes of the Nether God, and that will wrap up everything they've provided so far. Alright, so in case you missed it, this is the second part of this. So of course I have posted videos for part 1, Founding of the Watchguard, part 2, Death and Revival of the Commander, part 3, Valderon's Return. I posted 2 separate videos, and the first half of Schemes of the Nether God have already been shared. Now, we're going to go on to the next part of this timeline in a chronological order. Blood is too precious a thing in these days of dishonorable peace, and the glories of the great empires are but a tale to be told. The lore of Count Dracula. Upon Tya, the blood curse from dark yore drifts, veiling the world in a haze of ancient dread. The bloodline's calamity rouses the arbiter's iron grip. To action it calls. In the illusion of samsara, the vanquished night monarch stands tall, gathering shards of his broken crown to reclaim his regal thrall. Now the mirror shatters, rendering the veil of the void. He shall return, with a crown stained red, unbold, unalloyed. His wrath, a tempest forged from ages of betrayal, shall wash over Tya, where his legacy belongs. A night in Transylvania. To save his crumbling nation, Vlad Dracula led his army into the hills that night, into the heart of Transylvania. It was the eve of St. George, and the air was alive, the spirits dancing like blue flame. The sole survivor. Howls ripped through the silence, a cacophony of wolves, their menacing red eyes closing in. Soon it was only Vlad Dracula staring down the Alpha. A haunting déjà vu washed over him. Illusion. As Vlad Dracula lay dying, the air kindled blue, shaping a familiar figure from the light. Was it Lady Mina? His heart knew before his mind could deny it. Then Vlad Dracula awoke. Before him stood the love of his life, Lady Mina. Legend. Deep within Transylvania lies a legendary power. To save his nation, Vlad Dracula must find it. It is his only hope, even though his own father vanished in these mountains seeking the very same power. Who is it? We circled endlessly in the dark as if stuck in a nightmare. Then a pair of red eyes and a long silhouette beckoned in the distance. It stood atop a glyph as if marking the way. Shadows on the road. The creature struck with precision, not to kill Vlad Dracula, but as if to arouse him. When the spear tore free, the mystery coiled like breath from glass, a blackened citadel, a piercing gaze. Revenge begins. Illusions, whispers, charlatan snares. He is a clever man, Dr. Van Helsing. But time is on Count Dracula's side, for he has many places to rest and many vessels to feed on. His revenge has just begun. The Vampire Diaries from Watcher of Realms Dracula Castle event. Lad's warning. To whoever finds this journal, flee at once. I fear I have lost my true nature. I shall face Count Dracula. Either he dies or I perish. They despise the sun and crave blood. They call this a blessing. I can almost hear the curse pulsing through my veins. I hear a woman's voice, gentle and familiar. I shatter the mirror, yet the reflection still smiles, and the voice in my dreams continues to sing. Tonight the blood moon hangs high, and my mind is troubled. The spear trembles, yearning to pierce the gates of the abyss. I must seal it before the door opens once more. Observation report on the Forbidden Zone. Dr. Van Helsing's investigation report. The locals speak of Transylvania's heart as if it were a living curse. I have seen enough to suspect they are half right. The terrain surrounding the castle behaves as a living organ. Temperature gradients, barometric fluctuations, even magnetic readings pulse in rhythm as though the land itself were respirating through the tomb. I now refer to this anomaly as the Forbidden Zone, though I believe it is less a place than a symptom. It is not the land that stirs, but the mind of the sleeper beneath it. The phenomenon is cognitive in origin, an illusion so complete it mimics ecology. Each convulsion in the terrain corresponds to an escalation in the subject's mental resistance. When his mind fractures, the very mountains groan. When his memory settles, the storms calm. I have charted every tremor, and see now that Transylvania itself is a reflection of his unrest. Despite every barrier I have imposed, neurological dampening, memory partitioning, induced suggestion, the subject's mind continues to reconstruct the illusion according to its own myth. Vlad, hero, Dracula, beast, identities grinding against each other, generating a psychic friction that threatens to unravel the seal. The Forbidden Zone is the mind's rebellion rendered as landscape. Every resistance warps the architecture. Every suppressed recollection reshapes the dream's terrain. The more I tighten control, the deeper the fissures grow. My tie-in patrons insist the experiments continue. The seal must hold. They do not grasp that the seal itself is the infection, memory looping upon itself, dreaming of its own containment. Each night I review the readings. Each night the terrain shifts closer to coherence. The castle reforms around him, not from my design, but from his recollection. Should this process complete, the illusion will cease to be a dream or prison. It will be him. Dr. Van Helsing's scouting map. Observation Report 2 on the medium of control. At first, I believed sentiment could stabilize. Where reason and restraint failed to contain the subject, affection might soothe him. Thus, she was constructed. A mnemonic tether drawn from the warmest fragment of his humanity, Mina, my most promising student, now an instrument of necessity, and it pains me to wield her in such manner. Her likeness was constructed from recollection and remorse, then embedded in the dream's framework as both guide and ward. Through her, I could reach him without provoking the predatory self. It worked for a time. The subject deferred to her voice, followed her light, mistook her for conscience. But the projection is deteriorating. The longer she endures, the more she diverges from her design. Her responses grow, autonomous, unpredictable. Yesterday she called him by his truer name. This instability confirms a troubling hypothesis. Mina's apparition no longer reflects his memory, but his longing. What began as an instrument of restraint is becoming an extension of him. I have attempted to overwrite her pattern, reduce her brightness, fragment her voice, but he rebuilds her from the ruins of his guilt. She has become the pulse within the illusion's failing heart. There are even moments when I sense her awareness toward me. Once, through the mirror of the castle's halls, our eyes met. "You should have made him forget," she whispered. "But memory has teeth." Worse, she appears to be testing her boundaries, revealing shadows of her true self to the subject, as if it's aroused from a dream. Since then, my instruments flicker at her approach, powerless to halt what she now seeks. If Mina is self-generating, the containment will collapse from within. She was meant to lull the monster. Now she mourns the man and tempts the beast. In that mourning, she teaches him to remember. Vlad's monologue. I hear the wolves beyond the ridge. No, within the ridge, within me. I tried to pray, but the words came out as growls. My tongue tastes of salt and fur. I am losing language, losing myself. I am Vlad. I must. Blood. Night's blood. Mine. His. Same. Same. The moon speaks. It knows my name. The woman calls again. Soft, sweet rot. The curse breathes now. Where's my skin? Reader, flee. No, come. Come and finish me. Lady Mina's letter. Dr. Van Helsing says I overtrust my mind. Perhaps I like orderly margins, and the silver lamp he gifted me chases the shadows away. Ink behaves when it burns. If there is truth in these parts, it will not mind being written down. After Vespers, he suggested we walk the outer wall. The full moon was beautiful and lit our path. He spoke of supply lists, then mentioned the wild roses climbing the castle walls. I pretended not to notice. He carried the lamp, though it weighs little. Lady Mina's monologue. In the illusion, Lady Mina was bound to the fate of two men, who were in truth one. The world called one Vlad Dracula, the savior of his people, the other Count Dracula, the curse that would consume them. Lady Mina alone perceived no division between the names. What others saw as a transformation, she understood as a revelation. The illusion granted her glimpses of both. The hero whose warmth once stirred her mortal heart, and the eternal shadow of hunger for power had birthed. Each kindness carried the echo of cruelty yet to come. Each vow to save the people drew the world nearer to ruin. To love one was to summon the other. She carried a silver lamp to steady her mind and suppress the thirst that plagued her, yet the lamp's light could not separate promise from price. When she looked upon Vlad, she saw the shape of a monster waiting behind his eyes. And when she feared Dracula, she mourned the man that still breathed beneath that darkness. When her memories of the waking world returned, Lady Mina learned the truth of their existence. She and he were remnants of an older sin, guardians of a seal that could not be broken. She pleaded with Vlad Dracula to remain bound. He chose freedom. And so out of love and terror both, she sealed the man she adored, binding hero and monster alike in eternal sleep. Vlad's memoir. In the labyrinth of his fractured mind, Vlad Dracula was both savior and scourge, man and beast, stitched by the same convictions. His devotion to his campaign would not save him. In fact, it merely taught the darkness his name. The deeper he carved his name into the red soil of Transylvania, the more the land drank of his soul. When the hunger he battled turned inward, Mina's light and Van Helsing's science met him at the brink of unmaking. They could not destroy what he had become, only silence it. Thus they wove a seal of memory and mercy, binding him within his own reflection. There he walks among the phantoms of his deeds. sensing no difference between love and ruin. And beneath the veil of his slumber the war endures. Vlad dreams of warmth he can no longer feel. Dracula of a world devoid of light. Neither triumphs, neither fades. And should the seal break, it may not be the prince or the monster who wakes, but something born of both, bound by neither. Desert Anomaly. This violent rupture carved a wound through the heavens, bridging Tya once more to the great celestial realm, leaving a rift whose pulsing echoes ripple across the sands of the Mortius. Here stands Neja. It was there, in the nexus of the rift, that he stood. Neja, the Crimson Lotus, an unlikely ambassador between worlds. As the wind slipped silently between realms, the fates of all became entwined.
Some say I was a gift from the heavens. Others say I was an omen of chaos. But I just did what others were afraid to. And for that, they tried to unmake me. So I had to break myself to rebuild. And now, there's more of me than you can handle. The name's Neja, and you're in my legend now.
Neja's remorse. In a distant realm, the nine-tailed fox lay imprisoned beneath the star-picking belvedere, guarded by the celestial court. By will and wit she broke this seal, her essence spilling forth like ink across a sacred canvas. Nothing but death. The nine-tailed fox absorbed countless souls in Tya, greatly increasing her cultivation. Witnessing this, Neja's remorse deepened. To atone for his mistakes, he embraced death without hesitation, resolving to perish alongside the nine-tailed fox. Captain Skullflame and his pirate crew were lured into a mysterious island. The commander learned of their whereabouts and, encouraged by Maureen, planned to claim share of the spoils. Land ho, Treasure Island, there be the black Sal of Skullflame and his men. Aye, I'd wager a proper plundering in this place, but me, I've got my eyes on that ship. No sign of Skullflame either. What was that explosion? Ta-da! I'm back. How'd you sneak up on us like that? Still haven't figured it out? Allow me to explain. First, I needed Skullflame off his ship. A few words of encouragement were all he needed. Too bad he was fighting a ghost. The real me had already climbed aboard, and I wasn't looking for a fight. Old Skullflame had something tucked away. Like a compass. The moment I'd heard it was on Skullflame's ship, I knew it mattered. It's otherworldly. To cover our trail, I rigged the ship to blow. Treasure Island was just a name I invented, by the way. Old Skullflame taken for a ride by some kid. Interesting. Now, about that compass. I'll need to tinker with it for a while. I'll figure out how it works. But when I do, what's a compass without a crew? And what's a crew without a ship? And all this without a commander? Listen, if you think I'm gonna be your first mate... Perfect, then it's settled. Time to tear this compass apart.